Hey, what is up, SatsMate crew? Sorry for the past week not being able to push out a podcast. I got pretty busy, Easter and all, and I'm just looking forward to get back into it and keep delivering content that you all enjoy. Now, in today's podcast, I'm going to talk about why my fiance and I, we drive cheap cars to buy more Bitcoin. So overall, I'm a huge car guy. Actually, my dad had a Cadillac Eldorado back in the day, and he used to take me in rides as a kid, and I loved it. It was a beautiful boat car, and it was from the 60s. Beautiful time and experience, and it's something that I want to have with my kids when I'm younger as well. But my philosophy on cars is that you should, and this is just an opinion, you should pay cash for them, and you should be able to buy it twice in cash too. So I'm a little more conservative when it comes to this, just because at the end of the day, I do agree with the Dave Ramsey quote that you don't want so much of your net worth going down in value, because if you buy, let's just say, a $50,000 car, you only make 75 grand a year, you're only worth 75 grand. That's literally about half of your net worth going down in value. And that is not a good thing. You want to try to optimize it so that you have a small proportion of your net worth going down in value. So I also briefly talked about it not too long ago, but I was in a pretty crazy accident a few weeks ago, and I just kind of came to realize that it can all be gone in an instant. So that's another thing too. Like, if you drive really nice things, that's fine. I know people that take the other approach. Well, if I could die at any moment, I'm going to live it up. I hear that as well. But the point I'm trying to make is you can drive a decent car and still take a decent approach. Like, you don't need to buy an $80,000 car because I could die tomorrow. So when I got in this accident, I realized how fragile things are, and that I shouldn't overinvest. Either I shouldn't drive too cheap of a car because then it could have a lack of safety standards, but I shouldn't also drive a car that's too crazy because some uninsured person can hit it, and that's exactly what happened. So the overhead cars is actually huge. I know that a lot of us, we're car people here. I mean, everyone in America, they seem like they want to get the new Rivian, the new Lucid, the new Teslas, and not just EVs, Mercedes, Bentleys, Rolls Royces, etc. And there's so much overhead. You have to pay for repairs. You have to pay for oil changes. You have to worry about it getting scratched. That's another thing. Like, if you drive a cheap car like I do, and my fiance does, you don't have to, you could park it anywhere and not worry about it getting scratched. Oh, so it gets scratched? How much money is it going down in value? Okay, well, it costs $1,000 to repair that scratch, but the car valuation didn't go down because it gets me from place to place. So what most people do when it comes to cars is they'll finance it. And it's crazy because just a few years ago, guys, it was maybe in the 2007 to 2012 range. The average car payment was like $350 $400. Today, the average car payment $700, $800. So it's crazy to see how much car payments have gone up. Insurance. Look at the new, like a lot of the Teslas and a lot of these cars, they cost like $250, $300, $350 to insure. That was the cost of the entire car payment back in the day, guys. So it's just crazy to see how much cars are getting in terms of cost, but also all the maintenance repairs. I mean, I just got a few repairs, guys, on my car, and it cost me $4,000. $4,000. And I don't know how to do body work, so what am I going to do? And it's just good to be able to say, you know what, I got the cash, I'll just pay for it. So I think it's the law of trade-offs when it comes to valuations. You don't want to drive something that is such a high percentage of your value, your net worth, but you don't want to drive something too cheap. The good part about cheap cars also is you get to stack more sats, stack more Bitcoin. That is the biggest reason I drive cheap cars personally, and people may think I'm crazy saying that, but over the past several years, especially when we saw the low period around the 10 to 20 range, that was an opportunity to accumulate. I didn't have to make payments to anybody, so I just stacked more sats. And I think it's the best feeling because at the end of the day, I have an asset that I can move anywhere in the world with me that I can't do that with a car. Yeah, I could ship a car, but it's just a hunk of metal. It's just another car. A new one's going to come out next year. And I just realized like it is the best feeling being able to stack more Satoshis and really optimize my stack. And I think that's an important thing that I think more of us should try to think about as well as the time progresses. The ultimate freedom for me, at least, is sovereignty in this world. And yes, I could make the case it is good to have nice things. My favorite clothing line is Tommy Bahama. I'll wear that stuff all day long. It's just a style. It's just who I am. I like it. That's where I choose to splurge. But I'm not going to choose to splurge on that and cars and vacations and expensive homes and expensive electronics. I just choose to pick maybe one or two things I like to splurge on, and then other things I try to go cheap on. So, I really want sovereignty, and I think that cars, I remember hearing it from my uncle. He said to me, Paul, if you want to have money in this world, I have one piece of advice: never buy a new car. And guess what? I've taken his advice, and it's true. I've always had excess money. I could stop working for a few years and not have to work. At the same time, though, I can guarantee you, if I did have a car payment, I'd have $500, $600, $700 less amount being saved and put in to whatever asset I want every single month. And people will say, well, Paul, like, why don't you get something like, why don't you invest the rest? Put a small down payment, invest the rest. That's what you should do. I don't think that's smart either. Because, yeah, you can technically, let's just say you can afford it, but, then you have that stream of money for the next X period of years that's going to the bank. That's kind of silly to me. At the end of the day, we all have different goals and visions, and I think it's important that we live by our goals and values. But this is why I drive a cheap car. This is why my fiance does. We both paid cash for ours. They're both old and used. We try to stack every day. I think we may retire, hopefully, in the next 10 to 15 years. But at the end of the day, what we don't want to do is we don't want to be in a situation where we're a slave to our vehicles, because then we're just typical consumers and we're living in the rat race. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you guys drive a cheap car? Do you guys like kind of buying new cars? If you do, what's your favorite car? My favorite car, if I had $100,000 cash that I wanted to part with, I would say I would buy, I'll tell you this, I actually do like the new Rivian trucks or the new Rivian SUVs. I'd probably get one of those. If it was not an electric car, I would say I would like the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. That would be nice, a fun car to have. Just drive it with friends and go off-roading and all that. But that's my view. That's what I would like. What about you guys? What would you like? What's your thoughts and philosophy on cars? And anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.